Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. Be a part of the show by calling 915-544-KTSM, 915-544-5876, or comment online on our stream at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. It's 4 p.m. Mountain Time, and that means it's time to talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I'm your host, Andrew J. Polk. Thank you for tuning in, however you may be doing so, be it on air, online, live streaming through the free and reliable iHeartRadio app, or joining us over on the various social media pages we're up on these days, facebook.com/Talk El Paso, the Talk El Paso channel over on YouTube, Twitter @Talk El Paso, or twitch.tv, Andrew J. Polk. However, any of those many ways you can get at us, see the show, or even chime in, particularly a little bit later on, but comments coming in over on our social media throughout. That's part of the reason we still do that, besides apparently some people get a kick out of certain facial features. In any case, we do have that available for you. As you can also see, again, that nice cut that we got from our new sponsors with Hammer and Nails that we will be talking more about, and still not intending to tease too much. We got some giveaways coming probably early next week. Hint and word to the wise. And why pay attention to the start of the program sometimes. But in any case, if you want to add your 2 cents over on our social media, that's a good way to do so. We will have those phone lines open a little bit later, as we usually do in the program, and a lot going on for you today. A lot of subjects, a lot of topics, a lot of things going on, and certainly affecting us here in the Borderland. Updates to that crime situation, or one crime in particular that has now been recharged, but also some interesting points coming from El Paso's District Attorney Bill Hicks about issues in certain areas and larger parts of the Borderland as well, including a backlog of cases, slightly different than, previous district attorney was involved in, but more from the district attorney's office currently about what's going on there. One update on, several updates really on one specific incident happening on roadways yesterday. Billions of dollars in funding coming for the region, as announced by Governor Greg Abbott, and TxDOT coming there. Some updates to, a different technical, I guess. Does it count as a crime? The expectation for what happening up in the land of enchantment, southern New Mexico, Las Cruces, getting some updates on what's going to be happening with that one tanker damaged overpass. I think it's probably the right way to describe it, as there has been, I know there were questions about who the heck was involved, and a little bit more clarity also coming on that, even as, a lot of roadway talk, including what is also going on with some projects, people being frustrated, as we often get to, and also some things happening under roadways, including, I don't know if it's the one that was being asked about yesterday, but storm drains. So a lot of news items and a lot of topics that are covering each other that we've been talking about recently, or y'all have been bringing up. But we have a couple of interviews for today, previewing some things coming up, particularly we'll be bringing coverage on, as we do have Angel Rueda with the Wave. Hi, thanks for tuning in over there. Very aptly demonstrating how you can do it on our social media. Also dropping those likes and reacts, Robbie Flores included. So a couple of interviews about upcoming events, including the Alzheimer's Walk to End, the Alzheimer's Association, rather, I should say, particularly the El Paso chapter on the Walk to End Alzheimer's, and of course offer support to families, as well as the Osher Lifelong Learning Institute, previewing interviews you'll be able to find in full on this weekend on our program, as we tend to do, at least been trying out on Thursdays most recently. But there are other things, including political things, including, let's just call it, an interesting shirt being noted as having being worn by, as we are apparently in the heat up to the season, including, I believe, a rally kickoff, something that was going on not too far down the street from our station here at a nearby bar with sheriff's candidates. Apparently, as much as we have had on this particular program for some very specific reasons, talk about the mayoral election or potentials therein, and have confirmed some filings, including some of those that have been directly mentioned on the show. Yeah, there's actually paperwork filed, so that's one thing. But then also sheriff's races, as there was, other things that have been notable announcements and endorsements, and now people getting into it. Y'all been sending me some information as well that we'll be looking into, but again, a very particular shirt that was at least mildly surprising, I guess you could put it that way, coming from a Democratic candidate. If you don't know what I'm talking about, we'll certainly get into it. And so a lot going on today as we're inching towards the end of this week. So hope you all along for the ride, as we also have Mondo Moncada with the mercifully short yo over on our, again, the Twitch stream. It's not one of our most populated ones, but we make it available to whatever works out best for y'all. May add some more in the future. But again, those are the social medias we're up on at the moment, because it's working out for now anyway. Still a little bit dubious about Twitter, which you get emails and updates from things that literally says X, formerly known as Twitter. Like, okay, I know that, rest in peace, Prince, but his influence is, among many other ways, never going to die, particularly when it comes to the way I think of the platform formerly known as Twitter. In any case, a lot going on in the Borderlands. Like I said, phone lines a little bit later, but let's dive straight in because as it came up both at the beginning and end of our show yesterday, more details on the rearrests and a little bit clarity that we can offer there. As we also have a Bernadette Bandicool in the house with Afternoon Talk El Paso. Welcome there, as well as Amber Banda with the Rock On, Devil Horns, or the Protection from the Evil Eye, depending on who you ask. And either one works out for me because we're either going to rock on or deal with the issues going on. And so a major one that, again, y'all were even bringing up yesterday. Well, article title from our news partners at KFOX 14, if you want to see it referenced for yourself. El Paso DA says increase of violent crime reported in Cincinnati area, other parts of city as well. And noting, so specifically that news conference happening a little bit earlier today, starting off with regarding that, again, what we kind of bookended our show with yesterday unintentionally, both with us talking about it and then coming up from a listener comment and question, the call that we had about that terroristic threat issue. And there had been an initial release from that person who had only been then booked on outstanding traffic warrants, meaning they hadn't been paying their tickets and citations, etc. But there was then the rearrest yesterday of 22-year-old Andres Gabriel Lodoza. And again, it was initially found that, not probable cause enough that there had been a misdemeanor terroristic threat. So as much as also the question of, so how was he rearrested if he wasn't able to be held on that? Well, what in this case is that, again, District Attorney for El Paso, Bill Hicks, saying that he took that instead to a grand jury and found there was probable cause for a felony terroristic threat charge. So grand jury is not just the a jury that you wear like fancy wigs or robes for. It is the one that I've actually known people who've had to serve on one. Never been picked for a jury yet. I kind of wonder if I ever will. But in any case, they are the ones that then determine if a case can move forward to trial. So it's not a guilt or innocence determination as opposed to your regular jury, so to speak, but in deciding of, okay, there is sufficient evidence to allow this to be decided by a trial or not. So in this case, and the case that was then presented to them by the district attorney's office, deciding that it could move forward. And in this case, again, reissued the warrant and rearrested the same day. Again, this is stemming back to an incident over the weekend, August 12th, in the, again, Cincinnati area. And specifically, first two agencies that the accused in this case interacted with were an FBI agent and members of the U.S. Army Police. They're a courtesy patrol, or CP, I guess, as most people probably in our area would more commonly know them as. And Hicks said during his news conference, quote, the words he said to those agencies led them to believe that he was either going to commit deadly conduct or aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. And they do intend to pursue this to trial, going on to say, quote, we are not going to hesitate and will continue to pursue charges and bring people who have this kind of conduct to face justice. And then the kind of larger issue, the larger part of this beyond this one incident, which again has had a interesting journey and travel so far. I mean, we don't usually focus on individual crimes except for their larger impact, and that's kind of the connection being made here. So specifically talking about Cincinnati and the other areas of town seeing a spike or increase in violent crime. Again, quoting directly from Bill Hicks, again, from the article from our news partners at KFOX 14, quote, the spike in crime did start in late 2022, but it has certainly been a bad problem that we have been seeing rising in all of 2023. Adding, this is not a Second Amendment issue. This is about not lawfully carrying a firearm. This is about doing bad things with firearms. And connecting this to some other things we have definitely talked about, slightly more in the maybe stupid criminal vein than just about anything else, but we feel his description here, quote, from, again, Bill Hicks. We've seen kids shooting a firearm as they are driving down the interstate. We've seen incidents with firearms at numerous El Paso bars, and the Cincinnati area has seen its fair share of violent crime, and we're done with it. We're going to prosecute everything we can. And also noting that some establishments in the Cincinnati area are more cooperative than others. And Lodoza does remain in the El Paso County Jail under a $50,000 bond. So that callback to those previous, okay, I don't know if this is a good thing or not, or a bad thing or not. I still count myself pretty lucky that it wasn't until I was decently grown that social media was becoming a thing, because, I mean, all manner of stupidity is now being documented online, but it's just the real, like, arch level of stupidity when you're documenting your own crimes. Like, I know it's been satirized in, sitcoms and some of those ordinary, extraordinary, like your Parks and Recs over the years, but seriously, putting it online for what do you think is going to come out of that? Someone will say, "Oh, cool," and no other consequences. And that's been the situation we've seen. And if I wish this also hadn't been had been an isolated incident and not been the fact that we've had to talk about it previously of, people going along over some roadway in El Paso and just shooting a gun at the window. And again, that's dumb enough. Like that's a level of stupidity that I'm not comfortable with as it is, but like, let's leave it there. And I'd be better with it than I would also then putting it online for whatever damn reason, because someone thought it was cool. Just that level of lack of continued thought. Finish out the process at least. Like, what's the end game here is definitely a question that I have not had sufficiently answered for myself, and would hope would come out eventually, maybe in court or trial. But again, I haven't heard, at the very least, like I don't know, like I think that's the best I've seen so far with it. And now again, coming to the level and concern of the district attorney's office, though other things are also going on with that. Again, from our news partners at KFOX 14, El Paso's district attorney assists Texas DPS lab backlog to expedite DWI cases, as this has come up a couple of times in recent years in different circumstances. Of course, most recently in El Paso, there was the concern about the backlog of cases from the previous administration in the district attorney's office. Different type of issue here, where this is then again on the crime labs. This has come up again a couple of times in previous years, including, I do want to say, involving, there were some changes to not exactly cannabis, but of the determination of what exactly is a prosecutable THC level. I mean, Texas is definitely not a cannabis and THC legal state, so don't believe anyone who tells you otherwise on that, as much as there's been talk about the THC vaping. Let's make that perfectly clear. THC, not legal in Texas, but there are certain agricultural levels that are certain low percentages. I want to say hovering at, if not below, like 1% content. But the problem with that is, I mean, Texas has been interested in doing more on, industrial, agricultural cannabis, or hemp, as it's really known at that particular level. I mean, you can make rope, textiles, even building materials. Some of the research I've seen on that, fascinating stuff. But if you're dealing with something that could potentially have THC, to then differentiate it, because it may look, besides once you get past the colors that some of these plants can have, it can look astonishingly similar. So to determine the levels, there was a certain point in time that Texas crime labs could not detect down to the level required by law for particularly low-level possession, just to make that determination of, we're talking about 1, 5, 10%, getting down to that level of specificity as would be required to continue prosecuting by law. So that caused its own issues at that point in time, including district attorneys, not even just in our area but across Texas, saying we can't prosecute low-level possession crimes at this point. But again, what Bill Hicks saying in this case, working with the Texas DPS labs to help test substances faster by specifically flagging cases that do not require substance testing. So that's one interesting aspect of this here. But we've also been having our share of roadway issues, certainly. And to tell you what, let's get into that here in this next segment, as we're already well due for it here. You're, of course, tuned in to Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I'm your host, Andrew J. Polk. More people tuning in and chiming in. We'll get to some more of those comments here in just a bit. Phone lines a little bit later, as we do certainly as well. But in any case, stay tuned. More Talk El Paso after this break here on News Radio 690 KTSM. Don't go anywhere.
Traffic all day. News Radio 690.
Traffic slowing down in the Upper Valley on the I-10 eastbound from Vinton down to Red. It's a 13-minute delay. Watch for a disabled vehicle blocking the right lane, eastbound Montana Avenue at Gateway North. Heavy traffic on northbound Mesa Street from the downtown exits up to the Loop. It's a 5-minute delay. And police working an earlier accident still, Socorro, inside the Loop at Zaragoza. Kerry Edwards, El Paso traffic.
This report is sponsored by ComparionInsurance.com.
Hi, we're Comparion Insurance Agency. Never heard of us? We know. But to help it stick that our local agents are insurance experts, we're going to say local agent 3 times in the next 5 seconds. Local agent, local agent, local agent.
Find us at comparinginsurance.com.
Hey guys, this is Andrew J. Polk. My not-so-secret way of looking and feeling great is going to Hammer and Nails, El Paso's newest men's grooming destination, with everything about your personal grooming, privacy, and comfort in mind. Ready with your favorite drink at the door. They offer everything from head to toe, hair, beard, mustache, and hand and foot services. You want to find out about their full services and their great memberships. Of course, find them online, hammerandnailsgrooming.com. That's hammer, A-N-D, nailsgrooming.com, and I'll see you there.
Good news, El Paso. The WorkSafe Texas Summit is coming, and it's absolutely free. You don't want to miss this exciting opportunity to get important information that can help you protect your workers. Texas Mutual Insurance Company's innovative safety event features panel discussions, safety materials, and more. It's free, it's informative, and we're even providing breakfast. So join us from 8 to 10:30 a.m. on Tuesday, September 19th at the Hotel Paso del Norte. Register at texasmutual.com/summit.
Signs everywhere, signs for your business and signs for your ride. Sign Bros is the place where we make your signs.
Sign Bros is your source for vehicle wraps, window graphics, LED outdoor signs, and much more. 20 years in business locally. Call 855-8000, visit 1387 George Dieter, Suite C104, or go to signbrosep.com, where you don't pay for a sign pays for itself. Sign Bros.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-334-2266. That's 800-334-2266. 800-334-2266.
Stay informed at ktsmradio.com.
I adopted Bento in 2010 from a shelter. A lot of people know him as Keyboard Cat.
That's just one adoption story that started at a shelter. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a pet near you. Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
News Radio 690 KTSM El Paso.
Ruli's International Kitchen, just a great little gourmet dive, offering both familiar and internationally fusion flavors, unlike anything you've had before in or around our region, and that's why they've got the buzz about them. And of course, having their special events, like do not forget about their happy hours Tuesday through Friday, 3 to 6 p.m. Good way to celebrate the show, I guess. But also, if you want to find them, of course, afterwards, particularly Friday and Saturday nights, they, of course, doing their Rick at Night specials, meaning they got both reverse happy hour, great prices, delicious specials, 9 to 11, specifically a special pizza menu, and their famous double-baked wings. You don't want to miss out on that, or find them every day for those everyday celebration or special occasions. Give them a call, 915-313-4806. Again, 915-313-4806. Or, of course, just right down the street from our station, 4176 North Mesa, not too far from I-10 and Executive. Or, of course, online at rulisik.com. That's rulisik.com.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. To be a part of the show, follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I'm your host, Andrew J. Polk. Thank you for tuning in, however you may be doing so, whatever works best for you, really, be it on air, online, live, streaming through the free and reliable iHeartRadio app, or joining us over on the various social media pages. We're up on these days, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch.tv. Either under Talk El Paso or Andrew J. Polk. And, of course, Talk El Paso brought to you in part by Sunland Park Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, with, of course, their end of summerbration sale going on for you right now, with great savings, financing, and even $1,000 of cash back for well-qualified buyers, and get no payments for up to 90 days on some of those as well. So, of course, find them at 950 Crockett Street, right across I-10 from Sunland Park Mall. Again, Sunland Park Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram Fiat. And again, more comments coming in on some of the issues we're already starting to discuss here today, particularly when it comes to issues of crime or increase, violent crime particularly, and, well, really what is being worked on, and specifically, again, coming from the district attorney's office, and John Browson bringing up a couple of issues, but specifically saying that, again, if a city council had any political, let's say, again, that very fancy Mexican restaurant, C.A. Jones, that they would rezone the Cincinnati area as residential property. Now, I don't think that they would necessarily go that far. That might be an overcorrection, because I'll be honest, there's a few businesses there. I don't think I've ever really drunk there. Okay, that's not entirely true, but it's not my focus. Like, I've visited with friends. It's not a bar crawler kind of type myself, but I don't, begrudge those that is their thing. Might find better things to do with your time. But in any case, there are other, I don't want to say legitimate or anything like that, but other, maybe at this point in time, or at least in reference to your comment, less controversial businesses, or less ones that are having controversy around them and things going on in them at this point in time. Again, no hate at anyone operating and doing the best they can, but I will say that, even from our news partners at KFOX 14, some recent stories about, I guess, maybe rowdiness would be a general way to put it. And there's also been other things going on before City Council, including the amplified sound and noise ordinances that have been potentially coming up as well. But let's just say I've had plenty of decent evening and good time, and hang out in different places, not just the drinking when it comes to that Cincinnati area. Though I will say, as a full entertainment district, often being put that way, it's not quite an entertainment district, is it? It's one block and or parts kind of surrounding it. So I don't know, maybe the idea of having like fuller, better, more organized entertainment districts, true ones, might be a better idea in the long run. Again, I'm still very interested to see what'll happen on basically what I'm starting to call like the Sunland Park corridor, both Sunland Park Drive and all the way to Sunland Park, New Mexico. But okay, so to answer your point and your comment there, don't expect that will happen with the rezoning, but maybe something needs to be looked at. There's often the turnover of issues, and okay, you have the nightlife aspect that certainly can, if not managed very carefully, and even sometimes, regardless of that, if people are just really being stupid, can have issues come with it. Again, I feel like it's been off and on over recent years, okay, not completely recent years, but previous years, pre and post pandemic, basically, of what was going on in like the Union Plaza entertainment area, Cincinnati. And so I don't have a great solution, but maybe that's something, more enforcement, though that's also been mentioned by particularly City of El Paso, saying that no, we've had patrols, that kind of an idea. So don't necessarily have a great solution. But another issue that besides that has certainly been coming up has been issues on the roadways. There has been some of the updates on incident happening early yesterday morning on US 54 south at Montana. For our news partners at KFOX 14, they're now at our 50th traffic fatality of the year. Very unfortunately, as they cite from police that the man killed there was speeding and not wearing a seatbelt. So I will just continue to say, don't be dumb on the roadways. Not that that justifies what happened to him, but one thing can lead to the other. But in terms of roadways in general, a lot of people have been issues with construction, the expansion, those type of things, and there have been people that have been getting frustrated with particularly northeast El Paso, a lot of detours being noted in the area, particularly Sean Haggerty, of which there have been some community meetings going on as well. But one interesting one out today specifically that, again, from Texas Governor Greg Abbott and TxDOT, looking at a 10-year investment plan into Texas roadways to the tune of approximately $142 billion. Yes, billion with a B, and about 2.4 of that billion, that is, of that amount expected to come to the El Paso area, including a lot of focus. I would say maybe not the lion's share of funding, but certainly at least $200 million of that amount going specifically towards I-10, either in the continuing widening projects that we're seeing basically from Mesa on the west side to the New Mexico state line northwards. And then there's also the parts that are going to be happening through downtown. So two specific areas, $83 million for the I-10 segment 2 downtown widening between Executive Center Boulevard and Copia, which is, that downtown trench. Then this is going to be in addition to $304 million, maybe $305, call it $1 million previously for that segment. So not cheap and probably not going to be quick. And then $110 million specifically for I-10 widening between, pretty much the state line, technically in the Anthony area, FM in 1905, if you know it exactly. That's one of the main drags there in Anthony on the Texas side of things anyway, all the way to, again, Mesa. So they've got the full breakdown of some of the different costs, including art craft. That one, I've seen some of the plans for it, including flying overpasses and all that kind of stuff here. So that's going to be a fun one. And I kind of wonder how it's going to work with the if it has the idea in mind for those turbine blades, making sure that you got wide enough curves for that, among other things. But there's a lot of roadway construction that's going to be happening around our area for the foreseeable future. I'm just saying, if there was ever a time to come out with a decently affordable and safe flying car, I would be looking at making a down payment on that myself. Either that or like just getting your helicopter license. I know a couple people who have not necessarily done that, but that might be hitting up before too long. But maybe not either totally feasible, but it's about the only way that it seems reasonable to me, maybe going forward. We got a lot of this, a lot of this coming to our area. So yeah, there's buckle up, both in the literal and figurative sense, including Armando Moncada, I guess, excited about the Copia part of it. We'll see how that works out for us, because of course there's a lot of other projects. Again, the way I've been describing it, particularly with the I-10 expansion, is that everything that has been getting built around, particularly, the Loop 375 and the Border Highway West expansion, has all been in both preference and preparation for what's going to be going on with I-10. So yeah, that's going to be a fun one in the very depressing sense. I mean, it's needed, but oh boy, it's not going to be fun to take that medicine. In any case, let's take that next break right now, as there are still a whole lot more roadway. Oh, one thing I want to mention here is that I know a question had come up about who was found and actually ending up being arrested as part of that crash that happened on the on-ramp to the I-25 interchange heading east from Las Cruces back in July 11th. And the police report did detail that Edward Lee Flores, identifying him as the driver, after the owner of the truck, Dan Albrecht, reported it missing one day after the crash. And so the good news there-ish is that there is a reopening expected by mid-October on that ramp repair. And there was a question that came up about I-10 East close to noon, was like a parking lot from our news partners at KFOX 14. There was note of a vehicle fire reported on I-10 East near Vinton. So that may have been your cause for it. A lot of roadway fun we're having lately, right, folks? Again, buckle up in all the senses that matter. So yeah, Angel Rueda standing right there, vehicle on fire, does sound about right. Wasn't out myself that way in that location. Very much focusing on production here at the station, but yeah, stay safe out there, y'all. In any case, let's go ahead and take that next break right now. Coming out of this break, a couple of previews for you of some things we're going to be talking about more in depth, particularly on this weekend, but also important things going on in the community in their own right. So stay tuned. More Talk El Paso after this break. Again, I'm your host, Andrew J. Polk. Whole lot more coming up, happening, and that we'll be talking about. So stay tuned for Talk El Paso after this break here on News Radio 690 KTSM. Stay tuned.
Paso's News Radio 690 KTSM.
I'm Vania Castillo with your CBS 4 headlines. District Attorney Bill Hicks talked to CBS 4 about the backlog in DWI and drug testing, which is conducted in the Texas Department of Public Safety labs. Hicks says the lag in testing at state crime labs is backing up the cases in court. However, he says the state lawmakers have secured funding to expand the Texas DPS labs in El Paso, so testing for drugs and alcohol can also be done here locally. He says his office is doing everything they can to flag cases that don't require substance testing to help reduce the backlog. And as of this morning, we still do not have an update on the condition of the motorcyclist who was taken to the hospital with serious injuries yesterday after a crash in South Central El Paso. Now, the crash happened near the intersection of Glenwood and El Paso Street. Police haven't provided any information about this crash at the time, but we will, of course, make sure to keep you updated both on air and online. For more local headlines, you can check out our website at cbs4local.com.
News Radio 690. Traffic all day.
Traffic slowing down on I-10 eastbound from Trans Mountain down to Thorne with an 8-minute delay. Northbound Mesa has 13-minute delays from downtown up to the Loop, and southbound on Mesa from the I-10 down to the downtown exits. It's a 5-minute delay. Watch for a disabled vehicle blocking the right lane on North Desert at Landfill. Kerry Edwards, El Paso traffic.
From the KFOX 14 Severe Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Brad Montgomery. Temperatures are going to be on the rise as we go through our Thursday. We'll see temperatures in the 60s and 70s tomorrow morning, and then for the afternoon, high around 102 degrees, 10% chance of a very isolated storm for your Thursday. As we look to your Friday, partly cloudy skies, hot once again, high 102. If we're lucky, numbers could come down some with highs in the upper 90s for the weekend. From the KFOX 14 Severe Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Brad Montgomery.
This report is sponsored by Staples Stores. Staples has great prices on all back-to-school essentials. Now you can save even more with $20 back in rewards on your in-store purchase of $50 or more. Rewards members only. Ends 8/19. Redeemable in-store only. School on, save on at Staples.
Every day, you breathe in thousands of microscopic germs, allergens, and viruses. Don't let these invisible invaders make breathing through your nose impossible. Flush them out with Navage. Navage uses powered suction to pull saline in one nostril around the back of the nose and out the other nostril, helping flush out all the nasty things that make you miserable. Nearly 4 million people use Navage to breathe better, snore less, and feel healthier. People like Cindy, a verified Navage user who writes, "I've had such awful nasal congestion for the last couple years. I bought Navage and OMG, I can breathe again. I love this thing. Goodbye, Neti Pot. Hello, Navage." End quote. If you suffer from sinus congestion, allergies, or snoring, then Navage is the safe, drug-free solution you've been looking for. Navage is at Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, Target, and Navage.com. Navage, Navage. Clean nose, healthy life.
For the local issues and discussion you won't get anywhere else, turn to Talk El Paso, weekdays at 4 right here on News Radio 690 KTSM, brought to you in part by the El Paso Community Foundation. Sound off on what matters to you, Monday through Friday, 4 to 6 p.m., and let's talk El Paso.
Hi, we're Comparing Insurance Agency. Never heard of us? We know. But to help it stick that our local agents are insurance experts, we're going to say local agent 3 times in the next 5 seconds. Local agent, local agent, local agent.
Find us at ComparionInsurance.com.
This report is sponsored by ComparionInsurance.com.
El Paso's News Radio 690 KTSM.
Hammer and Nails, El Paso's newest, and I argue greatest, of opportunity and option for male grooming in the region, literally taking care of you from head to toe. With, of course, hair trims, beard cups, shaves, everything in between. It's a particularly both relaxing and exhilarating thing to get a straight razor shave. And, of course, they got it and keep it clean, as anyone who looks at over our social media and, of course, seeing our live stream knows. And if you want to get it for yourself, we are going to be doing some giveaways with them, so stay tuned for us on air with that. But otherwise, if you want to make your own appointment and become one of their members get, of course, special benefits, including all the way up to their Club Lux, Hammer and Nails grooming shop for guys. Find out all the details online at hammerandnailsgrooming.com. That's hammerandnailsgrooming.com.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. To be a part of the show, call 915-544-KTSM or follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank y'all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I'm your host, Andrew J. Polk. Thank you for tuning in, however you may be doing so, be it on air, online, live streaming through the free and reliable iHeartRadio app, or joining us over on the various social media pages, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch.tv, either under Talk El Paso or Andrew J. Polk. And a lot of comments coming in there, including Mondo Moncada clarifying that when he was talking about copia, it's his way pronounced copia. There's at least 4 E's in there, if I'm counting right. In any case, we also have Ida Beza Gardner, hi, with the hi and the wave there. Thank you for chiming in as well. And Willie Jenkins declaring this a no turkey Thursday, as apparently in Jive Turkey. So we'll see how well we adhere to that one there. So talk about a couple of things going on and affecting us and coming up that we're going particularly in depth on this weekend during the El Paso Public Forum. A couple of previews for you of things that you may want to know about, including upcoming events. First one here, specifically with the Alzheimer's Association of West Texas, their El Paso chapter, bringing back to the El Paso Zoo the Walk to End Alzheimer's, but they're still looking for people to get involved and be a part of it as well, particularly if you know anyone that is, well, both involved or maybe suffering from those diseases. So I was able to speak with him. So preview of that there with the executive director for the event. So here's the first preview we have for you of what is also going to be coming up this weekend. So enjoy this one. Joining me now, we have Jacob Boggs, Executive Chair for the Walk to End Alzheimer's. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Happy to be here, Andrew.
Happy to have you on to talk about this important event that we have coming up Saturday, November 11th of this year. And so when it comes to the purpose for this, I mean, people may be familiar with the idea of walks or even with the idea of Alzheimer's. So what is this specific event and what is it going to end up supporting?
So this event supports trying to find treatments and a cure for the Alzheimer's disease.
Yep. So when it comes to this happening again Saturday, November 11th, you all are doing the registrations online right now at act.alz.org. And if you want to find out the specific information, that's act.alz.org/El Paso, and I'll direct you right to the event over there. What is the importance and that you find the reason to do this specifically here locally?
So this is a huge fundraiser that the Alzheimer's Association hosts every year. There's two big fundraisers. One's the longest day, which is June 21st.
Right.
The longest day of the year. Sun's out the most that day. And then the Alzheimer's Walk. So usually everywhere there's an Alzheimer's Association has a walk. And ours is going to be held November 11th at the El Paso Zoo.
Right.
PJ Ferris brought it back to El Paso. It used to be in New Mexico, and he brought it back to El Paso, a pretty central located area. And it should be a lot of fun. The purpose is to raise funds for the Alzheimer's Association. And so that way we can find treatments, researchers can help find a cure. And that's the ultimate goal.
Absolutely. So what will be happening during the event? Obviously, there'll be some walking going on, if you're pretty fair to assume.
Absolutely. There's going to be some walking, and it's going to be fun. There's going to be vendors out there and people advertising their businesses, and it's going to be a lot of fun we're hoping to get a lot of kids out there so we can have a lot of different activities going on for the kids. And of course, the zoo. I mean, who doesn't like looking at the animals?
Absolutely. So what kind of format will it take in this way and being out at the zoo specifically? Kind of how will it function out during the event itself?
Well, you enter the zoo and then there's going to be a path that we're going to take you on. So normally when you have a race, there's a start and a finish line.
Sure.
And so that's what we're having at the zoo within the zoo. So there's going to be a start and finish line. There's going to be some music out there, some maybe live music, maybe DJ. We're still working on that.
Yeah, fair enough.
But that's ultimately what we're going for.
So it'll be going throughout the zoo, and so it'll be a scenic walk, so to speak.
Exactly.
Absolutely. So when it comes to that, there are still chances for people to, of course, sign up either as both participants, teams, or also as, like you mentioned, sponsors of the event, right?
Absolutely. And that's what we're really trying to look for. We need more sponsors for this event. So if anyone is interested, they can certainly reach out to us. We need more teams signing up, local teams,
Sure.
individual teams. Best way to do that, if it's okay, Andrew, let me give the website.
Certainly.
act.alz.org/El Paso. So act.alz.org/El Paso.
Absolutely. So again, that'll direct you right to currently the 2023 Walk to End Alzheimer's, El Paso, Texas, again happening Saturday, November 11th, 2023 at the El Paso Zoo. So some more of those information and bits and also contact information is available over there as well. So bring this back to the zoo and back to. So again, Walk to End Alzheimer's happening Saturday, November 11th. Again, that website, act.alz.org. One more preview for you again will be featured this weekend on the El Paso Public Forum, which we go even further in depth on all these events and other things going on. One that may be more relevant to certain segments of our audience than not, but is still interesting in its own right, I do have to say, specifically that of what is going to be happening with the Osher Lifelong Learning Institute over at UTEP, or OLLI as it's known. They do have their registration going on now for the fall semester that can offer, well, a lot of interesting different things. Once again, we'll be featuring the full thing, but here's a preview of what we'll have coming up for you this weekend from that. You got the do have the printed full fall catalog if anyone still prefers the tactile sensation of a catalog. And it does have, again, all of those important days. So just again to repeat, August 14th through the 30th is the registration. So through the 30th is the most important one to keep in mind now. And if you're wanting to find out again about all the things being open, the first, again, fall session, September 5th start, and then the fall session, that's fall session 1, fall session 2, October 23rd, then ending December 8th. And got a whole lot of different both classes specifically, but then also clubs and other things involved with this as well, right?
Other things. We're really, really excited about this particular term. We are introducing what we're calling OLLI Film Fest East, and we're offering films 2 days a week in the first session at the Isleta Adult Learning Center so that we can actually accommodate some of our Eastsiders. It's very simple to get there. You just take the new loop. And then we are adding pickleball to our clubs. So that's available for anyone who likes to play pickleball. And then we also have our other clubs. As a member, It's one of the benefits. You can join the French club, the book club, the guitar club, the Italian club, even our yoga club. We have so many offers and so many new and exciting things this term. It's overflowing and wonderful to see how people are engaging and thriving by keeping their brains active.
Absolutely. So seeing, and again, if people want to find out the full information on it, either are there particular places they can pick up the catalog in person if they so choose?
You'll see catalogs throughout the city at libraries and different locations. And also you can stop by the office at Miners Hall on the UTEP campus, and we'd be happy to give you one, or call the office.
Certainly.
And we'll send one to you.
So again, they can do that by calling 915-747-6280, 915-747-6280. But it can also be all found online, and including parts of the registration, utep.edu/OLLI. So that's utep.edu/OLLI. And of course, find them all over on social media as well, either under El Paso Ollie or Ollie El Paso, depending on the platform, right?
Yes.
Platform of choice there, including also on YouTube with Ollie at UTEP. So a whole lot of ways to get with and engage with it. And again, the course, you mentioned some of the clubs, of course, here. When it comes to the courses and the many different aspects of it here, I mean, there's just even from the index, culture, current events, fitness, food, hands-on arts, history, intergenerational opportunities, languages, literature, science. I mean, there's quite the span here that y'all cover.
Yes, we try to cover a lot of different categories because, hey, we have a lot of interests. And so if you're an artist or you want to be an artist, sign up for an art class, learn something about oil painting or drawing, or make a book this time. We're a book cover. We have that class that we're offering. There are lots of different things you can do. Photography. As a matter of fact, if you look at the front cover of the catalog, that's a photo that was taken by one of our Ollie members.
Yep, camera right in frame there.
That's right. In previous catalogs, we featured the artwork from our artists, our Ollie artists. There are other classes as well. We're offering line dancing, and if you want to learn something new, you can take Tai Chi or martial arts for seniors. You can bone up on your French. And if you'd like to bone up on your Spanish, we have a Spanish class as well.
Oh, okay.
Italian. I have a lot of people who are traveling to Italy, so they're taking the Italian class. And then there are other topics in humanities, in creative writing, in meditation. We have history, lots of history. Our most popular classes are actually our El Paso history tours with Ron Lyman and Prince McKenzie.
Absolutely, which is definitely a confluence with some of our other programming as well. And so the important things people need to know is that they do need to be members, and they also need to register, and they do need to be 50 and up, right?
Yes, that is correct.
So when it comes to becoming a member and then registering through it. So again, for the full details on that interview, we will be having that up as part of the El Paso Public Forum this coming weekend. But again, if you want to find out all the details and get on it, just look up for the Osher Lifelong Learning Institute at UTEP or Ollie, OLLI. We're going to go ahead and take that next break right now and go ahead and open up those phone lines as we usually do in this pre-Friday day. Yes, we're definitely getting there, but we got a lot of stuff going on and affecting us here in the Borderland. We'll keep talking about. So if you want to get on that line, add your 2 cents. That number, of course, to do so is 915-544-5876, 915-544-KTSM. Back after this break and getting those phone calls right here on News Radio 690 KTSM. Number one more time, 915-544-5876, 544-KTSM. Back in a minute. Don't go anywhere. Texas Mutual Insurance Company is bringing their Work Safe Texas Summit to the El Paso area, bringing safety and compliance information that can help employers protect their workers. Happening and free at Tuesday, September 19th at the Hotel Paso del Norte, so just under a month away. That's 2.5-hour free event. Does include free breakfast as well, and it does offer interactive Q&A sessions with safety experts, including an OSHA information panel discussion and workplace safety panel discussion, including helpful resources and safety materials. Networking will also be possible with other business owners and safety professional, and parking validation will be provided. So you just got to get yourself there and make sure you register by September 12th at texasmutual.com/summit. That's texasmutual.com/summit. And again, the Texas Mutual Insurance Company Work Safe Texas Summit happening here in El Paso this coming September 19th at the Hotel Paso del Norte in downtown El Paso. That website one more time, texasmutual.com/summit.
Traffic all day. News Radio 690.
Expect some slow traffic if you're taking north or southbound Mesa from downtown to the Upper Valley. Southbound on Mesa from Desert Boulevard down to the downtown exits is a 10-minute delay. Northbound Mesa from downtown to the Loop, it's a 10-minute delay. I-10 eastbound Trans Mountain to Thorn, 5-minute delays there. And one crash to look out for north Rio Vista, eastbound at Alameda. Kerry Edwards, El Paso traffic.
This report is sponsored by ComparionInsurance.com.
Hi, we're Comparion Insurance Agency. Never heard of us? We know. But to help it stick that our local agents are insurance experts, we're going to say local agent 3 times in the next 5 seconds. Local agent, local agent, local agent.
Find us at ComparionInsurance.com.
Hey, El Paso, Ivan Ochoa, General Manager of Sunland Park Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram Fiat. Trade up to a new or certified pre-owned vehicle for thousands less. Right now, our prices are the best in town.
Get huge savings on hundreds of new and certified pre-owned vehicles and more for your trade. For a limited time, everyone gets employee pricing on 2023 Jeep Gladiator trucks and super low 1.9% APR for 72 months. Take $6,000 off MSRP on 2023 Ram 1500 trucks or 2.9% APR for 72 months. Take $2,500 off MSRP on 2023 Dodge Charger and Challenger. Get $2,500 off MSRP on 2023 Chrysler 300. Worried about your credit or worried that you're upside down on your trade? Our aggressive lenders will push to approve your credit, even if your credit is less than perfect or if you owe more than your trade is worth. Get huge savings and more for your trade during the Make This the Summer Sales event at Sunland Park Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Fiat at I-10 at Sunland Park Drive or online at sunlandparkdodge.com. Includes factory rebate and dealer discount plus DTNL. 1.9% APR is $1,471 and 2.9% is $1,515 per thousand finance. On select vehicles with approved credit. Offers not combined.
How do you spot a scam? If someone says you have to pay them by wire transfer, gift card, or cryptocurrency to fix a problem, that's a scammer. Nobody legit will ever insist on being paid that way. Report them at reportfraud.ftc.gov.
I'm back to doing what I love and more. Thanks to the Good Feet store.
This planet is so incredibly beautiful that I can't get enough of it. I did 950 miles on the Pacific Crest Trail, and Good Feet was with me all the way.
Hi, this is Mike with the Good Feet Store. Are you ready for summer adventures? Don't let your feet get in the way. Learn how the Good Feet Store can help.
Your passion's important, but if your body aches and if your heel feels like you've got a nail stuck in it and won't come out, trust me, it's going to wear you down. The Good Feet Store knew what they were talking about and took the time to really dial in what I needed. I hiked 84 miles in the Himalaya and to do it pain-free. You think I'm not grateful for Good Feet?
You deserve comfort in your life too. Sandal season is here and Good Feet fits into all your summer shoes, even flip-flops. Visit the Good Feet Store today for your free fitting and test walk.
Thanks to the Good Feet store.
Schedule your appointment today at goodfeet.com.
The new Raid Essentials Light Trap uses light to attract, then trap flying insects like fruit flies and mosquitoes, turning your home into restricted airspace. For insecticide-free protection that's people and pet-friendly, get new Raid Essentials Light Trap.
News Radio 690 KTSM.
Maser security alarms. It's what we use here at our offices, and they are been in office and in part of the offices, home, business, what have you, everything in between, where you want to keep something safe, secure, and most importantly connected, particularly with their new security systems. More than 40 years of local experience. They have served El Paso with superior service and protection, and you can afford the best. For your free quote or to upgrade your existing system, and no job is too small or too large, you can call Maser Security Alarms at 915-590-0033. That's 915-590-0033.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. To be a part of the show, call 915-544-KTSM or follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I am your host, Andrew J. Polk. Thank you for tuning in, however you may be doing so. A lot of ways to interact with the program, particularly at this point during the show. I think we'll be a little bit too close to the pin to take any calls immediately. Have to take it to the top of the hour, but that gives you more of a chance to get on the line. There do have some calls on there, but also some available slots and lines, that is. So if you want to get on the line, of course, that number to do so is 915-544-5876, 915-544-KTSM. It's not Friday yet, though it's always around the corner. We got plenty of local things going on here that we'll continue talking about. So want to get on and talk about those, add your 2 cents. Again, 915-544-5876, 544-KTSM. taking that break and coming back right after the top of the hour news with a whole lot more to talking about the things going on and affecting us here in the Borderland. So stay tuned. More Talk El Paso here on News Radio 690 KTSM. Don't go anywhere.
Traffic all day. News Radio 690.
Expect some slow traffic if you're taking north or southbound Mesa from downtown to the Upper Valley. Southbound on Mesa from Desert Boulevard down to the downtown exits is a 10-minute delay. Northbound Mesa from downtown to the Loop, it's a 10-minute delay. I-10 eastbound Trans Mountain to Thorn, 5-minute delays there. And one crash to look out for north Rio Vista, eastbound at Alameda. Kerry Edwards, El Paso traffic.
Hi, I'm Burt Ward, Robin from TV's Batman, inviting you to feed your dog natural, non-GMO, Gentle Giants dog and puppy food. Dogs eating Gentle Giants and following our special feeding and care program are living as long as 27 healthy, active years with a wonderful quality of life. Holy wow, 27 years! Think of all the extra years you could enjoy with your dog at Target, H-E-B, and stores near you. Try Gentle Giants cat and kitten food, too.
Our iHeartRadio Music Festival is coming back to T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas this September.
Superstar artists from every genre.
Streaming live only on Hulu.
Buy tickets now at AXS.com.
This is the iHeartRadio Sports Report.
In baseball, the Braves keep rolling, sweeping the Yankees with a 2-0 victory last night and dropping New York to under 500 for the first time this season. It's the first time the last place Yankees have had a losing record at least 120 games into the season since September 5th, 1995. Elsewhere, Shohei Ohtani hit his American League leading 42nd home run last night as the Angels beat the Rangers 2-0, and the Cubs put themselves back in a wild card spot with a walk-off win at Wrigley thanks to a Christopher Morel 3-run home run. And in the NFL, we have one preseason game tonight. The Browns visit the Eagles in Philly. According to head coach Kevin Stefanski, Deshaun Watson will not be playing as well as other established starters, but we may see Jalen Hurts for Philly for the first time this preseason. Kickoff is 7:30 Eastern on NFL Network. I'm Andy West with your iHeartRadio Sports Report.
Need more? Open the free iHeartRadio app for the best sports stations in the country and the most sports podcasts with the biggest personalities in the game on demand.
News on the hour and a half. Traffic and weather all day. News Radio 690 is KTSM AM El Paso, an iHeart radio station.
NBC News Radio, I'm Brian Shook. At least 111 people are confirmed dead in what has become the deadliest wildfire in modern U.S. history. The devastating wind-driven blaze tore through the town of Lahaina on the island of Maui, where Michael Richter lost his home and his 79-year-old stepdad, James Smith.
You haven't slept in 6 days. And I just want to identify his body and put him at rest.
Meantime, officials on Maui are explaining why sirens didn't go off during the wildfires. Hawaii has what it says is the largest system of outdoor sirens in the world that were installed after more than 150 died in a 1946 tsunami. Residents say those sirens should have gone off during the deadly fires because it would have helped some escape more quickly. Multiple outbreaks of foodborne illnesses have a new strain of E. coli to blame. CDC researchers say a strain associated with leafy greens is the source of ongoing sicknesses since late 2016. They analyzed the bacteria from a big outbreak in 2019 that caused 167 cases of food poisoning and 87 hospitalizations in 27 states. The State Department is sending more documents on the U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan to Congress. Lisa Taylor reports.
House Foreign Affairs Committee Chair Michael McCall said they came after a call with Secretary of State Antony Blinken. The Texas Republican said he appreciates Blinken's commitment to provide the documents and his promise to continue to produce them to the panel. This comes as House Republicans continue their investigation into the 2021 retreat from the country. I'm Lisa Taylor.
A law to ban transgender student athletes in women's sports in Idaho is being blocked by a federal appeals court. The 9th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals upheld a ruling that blocks the state's Fairness in Women's Sports Act, saying it's likely unconstitutional. You're listening to the latest from NBC News Radio. A Texas woman is facing federal charges after allegedly threatening to kill the judge overseeing former President Trump's January 6th case. Michael Kastner reports.
Court records say she called the judge's Washington, D.C. chambers earlier this month
and left a racist voicemail message. It included threatening to kill anyone who went after Trump and all the people in the LGBTQ community. Prosecutors said the woman, who was arrested last week, admitted she left the message but told investigators she had no plans to carry out anything she stated.
The family featured in the Oscar-winning film The Blind Side plans to end their conservatorship for former NFL player Michael Oher. Lawyers for Sean and Leanne Toohey made the announcement during a news conference Wednesday, days after Oher accused them of tricking him into the conservatorship. He filed a petition in a Tennessee court Monday requesting to have the conservatorship ended. Louisville, Kentucky students will hopefully return to school on Friday after what's being called a school bus nightmare. Trey Thomas has the details.
It all started when Kentucky's largest school district introduced a new bus route system meant to address a driver shortage. School Superintendent Dr. Marty Polio.
I take responsibility for not asking the tough questions and not being as involved.
But when they were first used last week, chaos erupted, with some students not getting home until 10 p.m. after the first day of school. I'm Trey Thomas.
The BMW Championship is underway in Illinois. This is the second event for the PGA Tour's FedEx Cup playoffs, and it's taking place at Olympia Fields Country Club in Olympia Fields, south of Chicago. It features the top remaining 50 golfers after the number was cut down from 70 after last weekend's St. Jude Championship. Brian Shook, NBC News Radio.
Now, your chance at $1,000 and a trip to our 2023 iHeartRadio Music Festival. Yeah! Text the nationwide keyword Vegas to 200-200. You'll get a confirmation text and info. Standard data and message rates apply in this nationwide contest. That's Vegas to 200-200.
Get ready to win your way to our 2023 iHeartRadio Music Festival and $1,000.
You'll be there.
T-Mobile Arena here in Las Vegas.
September 22nd and 23rd.
Streaming live only on Hulu.
The iHeartRadio Music Festival.
Immerse yourself in virtual reality with Kokomo, the new app from Canon. Connect with friends and family live in photorealistic environments. It's like being together even if you're miles apart. Search Kokomo by Canon to download now from the Meta Quest Store, Apple App Store, or Google Play.
This report is sponsored by Valero. Start saving on the road with Valero's 100 Days of Summer. Get fuel-saving snacks, swag, and more every day all summer long. Only with Valero Pay Plus. Download the app and start saving right now. Additional terms and conditions apply.
Keep your family and livelihood safe with a stable security system from Mazer Security Alarms. Your trusted El Paso security expert since 1982. You can get the best. Systems start at under $35 per month with upfront purchase to lease options and $0 down payment packages available. Get the peace of mind you deserve with Mazer Security Alarms. For your free quote or to upgrade your existing system, call Mazer Security Alarms at 915-590-0033. Mazer Security Alarms.
Only iHeartRadio gives you access to all of your favorite radio stations.
It's the Woody Show.
Rover's Morning Glory.
The Rod Ryan Show.
All of the once-in-a-lifetime events.
iHeartRadio Music Festival.
All of the best free curated playlists.
Everything that rocks.
All the great podcasts for every interest.
This is Freddie Prinze Jr. from the Wrestling with Freddie podcast.
All of the mind-blowing contests.
$20,000.
Awesome. On your favorite superstars.
We are 30 Seconds to Mars.
This is Alex from All Time Low. Download the iHeartRadio app today. Free has never sounded so good.
News Radio 690 KTSM El Paso.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. To be a part of the show, call 915-544-KTSM or follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I am your host, Andrew J. Polk. Thank you for tuning in, however you may be doing so, be it on air, online, live streaming through the free and reliable iHeartRadio app, or joining us over on the various social media pages we're up on these days, facebook.com/Talk El Paso, the Talk El Paso channel over on YouTube, Twitter at Talk El Paso, or the site formerly known as Twitter, at Talk El Paso or Andrew J. Polk, and of course also twitch.tv at Andrew J. Polk. Really, Talk El Paso, Andrew J. Polk. You look for us under those and we should come up some places, just particularly with my name. Make sure you get the J in there, otherwise you end up with a, the reason I started using that professionally is you end up with a bunch of lawyers, business people, at least one artist, and then a criminal or two. So yeah, make sure you get the J in there otherwise, or some of those presidents, kind of that annoyingness. But in any case, a lot of ways to get at us. Of course, also at this, particularly this point during the show, when you have those phone lines open, of course, that number to do so, and do have some lines available still, 915-544-5876, 544-KTSM, and a lot of comments coming in there as well, including a Willie Jenkins clarifying that when it comes to his no jive Turkey Thursday, imploring people to be clear, concise, fair, listen, problem solve, don't whine, complain, bellyache, or be generally obtuse and insensitive, etc. So we'll see how this works out this time around. But in any case, a lot of stuff going on, and of course, affecting us and to be discussed in the region. So let's dive right into it, as we do have a lot of people, of course, dropping those likes and reacts that we do appreciate, certainly including Richard Janicek, Buddy Vias, Ida Beza Gardner, James Holmes, RJ, Monica Cervantes, Robbie Flores, and Angel Rueda. I do appreciate all of that. But again, that phone number, 915-544-5876, 544-KTSM. We do have Raul in the Northeast on the line with us here right now. Raul, thanks for joining us.
Hey, Andrew. Well, we'll keep it real local. This is an article from the El Paso Matters, and it's titled, El Paso and Other Texas Cities Prepare for Abbott's Death Star Law.
Oh, sure.
And it was written by Christian Bentecourt. Now, it says, El Paso is a pioneer in worker protection with wage theft ordinance in 2015. Now battles the Death Star. Texas cities unite against state overreach, defending local governance and progressive policies. So it turns out that back in 2015, El Paso became the second city in the country to safeguard its workers by passing what is titled a historic wage theft ordinance. But now they're saying that the sweeping new state law, which was designed to handicap Texas as more liberal cities and governments, and that is to take place September 1st, and that these protections and wage theft ordinance are facing existential threats. Now, it's called House Bill 2127, also known as the Super Preemption Bill. And it supposedly aims to regulate many aspects of commerce and trade and local jurisdictions that differ from state-imposed directives, And this preemptive law could affect local policies dealing with ordinances, including agriculture, insurance, labor, natural resources, that contradict state law. Now, the opponents of this bill, they say it was aimed to weaken bluer cities and counties and their ability to regulate their industries and enact policies that fit their particular circumstances. And back in July, as a matter of fact, the cities of Houston and San Antonio both filed joint lawsuits against the state of Texas, claiming that the state violates the state constitution and infringes on the rights of home rule cities to pass their ordinances. And now 32 local elected officials across state, including in El Paso, have signed on to an amicus brief in support of the cities that were filed by Local Progress and Public Rights Project. Now, as far as how El Paso is responding, according to this, Laura Cruz Acosta, who's a spokesman for the city of El Paso, she said the law's vagueness makes it hard for local officials to know precisely which ordinances will be impacted until the court determines that a local policy is in conflict with the state counterpart. So this creates, according to them, a situation where it will be up to the courts to identify which of El Paso's laws are preempted, which can be very costly and time-consuming for cities that are already really strapped for cash. They don't need it to be engaging any more lawsuits than they're already involved in. It leaves everything open for a lawsuit, and that's a lot of taxpayer money that's going to have to be used to challenge these lawsuits. Now, for example, El Paso County Commissioner David Stout says that the bill could affect policies dealing with agriculture, drought conditions, overgrown lots, dealing with insects, predatory lending businesses, injuries at special events, safety at outdoor festivals and sporting events, trash and tire dumping, heavy truck, oil and gas, propane lines. According to Stout, he believes that it will tie the hands of local elected officials and strip them of the ability to produce innovative and nuanced policy responses to their constituents' distinctive needs. He says, we were elected to try to protect our people from things like natural disasters and other crises, to support our workforce, to provide safe housing, to make sure that we have clean, potable drinking water. The solutions to all of those types of issues look different from city to city and from county to county. And in fact, this law can preempt not only policies put in place by elected officials, but approved by voters. You know, to me, this is the old classic rural versus urban debate and schism that we've seen in this country.
Okay.
And it belies the hypocrisy of the Republicans who claim that they are for, you know, federalism and home rule and local rule. And here, the Governor Abbott and Costello tries to impose his will on the cities that turn out, how about that, happen to be blue, where the universities are, where the educated people are, where the good jobs are, not out there in the middle of nowhere, where those people are thinking that if things are going to get better for them out there in nowhere, that it's going to happen out there in nowhere. No, you got to move. Your kids got to get out of school, go get more education, move to the cities where the action is, and not out there in the middle of flyover land. And that's one of the problems in this country. We've got this very unrepresentative system where it's divided in a manner that really you end up with minority rule. Like we did in the Electoral College. It's very sad to see because it really makes it look like Governor Abbott and Costello is a mini Trump, pushing Trumpism and totalitarianism like wannabe tyrant Trump.
It's interesting analysis there. We did talk about this, Bill, and specifically that article, entitled "From El Paso Matters El Paso," and other Texas cities are getting ready for Abbott's Death Star law, because that sounds a lot sexier in a headline than House Bill 2127. Yeah, these super preemption bill. And I mean, there has been some impacts already. The one that actually came up earlier this week about the youth curfews being gone as of September 1st. Don't believe it's specifically, I mean, the article does cite it as potential impacts coming from that, but I do believe that's actually coming from a different state law. Need to check the source site on that one, but our news partners at KFOX 14 were talking about that earlier in the week, as we did as well. And I'll say specifically on this, the idea of lack of specificity in laws. Okay, the way like Governor Greg Abbott, I'm not quoting directly from him, but essentially the way this was being talked about, and it was being talked about during the legislative session, was basically trying to claw back state authority for regulation of many serious and important things. Again, from their perspective on this, including, you could see this in the same vein of the effort. Again, it was a specific state law when it came to the water breaks. Now, not saying I'm in favor of there not being water breaks, but that was a specific law that was passed. But you could argue that this is in that same vein of saying that, well, you want to talk about regulations, that those come primarily from the state. Now, I could see this backfiring on Abbott. I got to be honest with you, particularly if they end up coming down to it with we've decided you can't do this, anywhere near the situation that we were in 2020 and mostly 2020, a little bit in 2021, when Abbott was, the people were giving him the nickname King Abbott, among other things, because of any perceived capriciousness around this, any perceived, I've decided this time it's going to work that way. If there's any level of that, listen, if Abbott's going to be smart about this, and I'm not calling him necessarily stupid in any real capacity, but the smart way to go about this, if that is the goal they want to have of, again, clawing back more to state level authority, would be to run it entirely through agencies. Now, I'm not necessarily calling that a good thing necessarily either. I've had some disagreements, not like personally, but I guess they are personal, but not professionally, with certain agencies like, particularly the TABC, Texas Alcohol. I actually forget what it stands for. Texas Alcohol Department, basically the one, and the way they do that, like leading up to 2020, Crowlers, the can in not dispensary. Thinking about the cannabis issues too much recently, but in the the bottle fill stations, things like that, particularly alcohol to go, were basically just because of the way the agency had already done it, was not allowed. But then after, and this was maybe part of the capriciousness that I'm in favor of coming from Abbott, than it was being, alcohol to go is never going to go away, or any politician that truly puts it forth, unless they have quite a lot of funding and groundswell behind him, is probably going to find themselves getting a lot of challenges and unhappy constituents the way this seems to be going. So that's one thing that has changed about, being able to can individually, those like, how much is in them, like 32-ounce cans, give or take. I don't think they're much. I don't think they would reach 64, but that size of thing, be able to can it right at the, whatever the bar, restaurant, or whatever set up to do that. It had been allowed to build in New Mexico previously, but not in Texas. And that personally frustrated me, but that's kind of one example of where an agency has, there we go. Thanks, buddy, for bringing me the site there. Texas Alcohol and Beverage Control. I always forget the C part of it there. They're making it like commission or something like that. So Texas Alcohol and Beverage Control. And that has been its own set of issues in the past. So that may not be a good thing, but I would say Abbott avoiding the whole King Abbott's implications coming from it would be maybe, again, not the best way, not totally in favor of this. I am in general in favor of laws about specificity and coming down to this is specifically what this will do and the specific ways we like to enforce it. So that's part of the reason that it's gotten the moniker the Death Star law along with it, because it might just be used to effectively, sci-fi nuke local policies and other implications and people having issues with what might be coming along with it. And we'll see what actually comes out of it. Again, some of the things that have been seen here already in our region have been out of other specific laws because we're getting into that September 1st start point for quite a lot of them. But I mean, we were even talking about this during the legislative session for potential impacts to Prop K. Yeah, let's do a little bit of a throwback to the beginning of the year or earlier in the year with that part of it, because I mean, as much as Prop K had its own debate and back and forth, as we, of course, featured on this program with both sides basically saying how they came about it and those for and against debating it out. But this was one that I do believe I mentioned at the time, or at the very least, if it wasn't this final bill, one of the ones along the lines of it. Remember talking about the fact that a state bill that was percolating through the legislature at that point in time that has a lot of potential impacts could have, I mean, it didn't end up coming at that point in time because Prop K voting ended before the end of the regular legislative session. But this one, I don't think we're going to be done with this one anytime soon. And so, I mean, as much as you got to talk about the red versus blue divide on it here, and I'm sure that probably was at least a part of Abbott's thinking, if he's going to try to be smart with this, trying to avoid the whole, again, King Abbott's implications, would be the best way to go about it, even if I still kind of disagree with the way he's gone about this overall here. So I do appreciate the point in the call. With that, we'll go ahead and take that first break of this hour right now. Coming out of this break, we'll get to more calls on the line. Lines are available now, and that number to call is 915-544-5876, 915-544-KTSM. Back after this break with more Talk El Paso here on News Radio 690 KTSM. Stay tuned.
Traffic all day. News Radio 690.
El Paso freeways are accident-free for the moment. Got an injury accident towards downtown Wyoming at Brown. I-10 eastbound is slow with 7-minute delays from Trans Mountain out to the Patriot. On the Spur, Liberty Expressway eastbound from the Gateway to the Loop, it's a 5-minute delay. And it's slow southbound on Mesa Street from Desert Boulevard to downtown, 10-minute delays. Kerry Edwards, El Paso traffic.
This report is sponsored by ComparianInsurance.com.
Hi, we're Comparion Insurance Agency. Never heard of us? We know. But to help it stick that our local agents are insurance experts, we're going to say local agent 3 times in the next 5 seconds. Local agent, local agent, local agent.
Find us at ComparianInsurance.com.
Are you a business owner, CEO, or responsible for marketing? If you are, iHeartMedia can help you reach your goals and find new customers. We reach more consumers in your target area than anyone else. And we can give you access to those potential customers more cost-effectively across radio, digital, podcasting, and social. We'd love to show you how iHeartMedia can work for you. From your cell, dial pound 250 and say keyword great results. That's pound 250 and say great results.
Hammer and Nails, El Paso's newest men's grooming destination with your comfort and privacy in mind, and where your favorite brew, spirit, or mixed drink will be waiting for you along with every cut, shave, manicure, or pedicure visit. Open daily at the fountains at Farrah, Hammer and Nails offers world-class luxury experiences without the pretentious price tag. Visit Hammer and Nails Grooming Shop for Guys online at hammerandnailsgrooming.com to book your next experience. That's hammerandnailsgrooming.com.
Staples presents a lesson in back-to-school savings. Your local Staples now accepts Amazon returns. So when you return your Amazon order at Staples, you receive a coupon for $10 off your next $30 Staples purchase. So you can save even more on top of huge back-to-school deals. Like right now, 2 pocket poly folders and Staples 8-count number 2 pencils are each just 50 cents. Staples gives you more ways to save even more. 50-cent offers end 8/26. Pricing and limits may vary in-store and online. Amazon return offer in-store only. Exclusions apply.
And now
now Martha Stewart for Skechers. When I make a dish or embark on a craft project, I always use the finest, most fabulous ingredients and materials. Which is why, when it comes to footwear, I love Skechers. Because Skechers is the comfort technology company and uses the most luxurious, innovative materials and designs to make wondrously comfortable footwear with all the fits and features like Arch Fit and Skechers' world-famous air-cooled memory foam. It's exactly the way I'd make shoes.
Find Skechers at a Skechers store, Skechers.com, or wherever stylish footwear is sold.
Next Thursday, you will be caught in an extreme flash flood.
Disasters don't plan ahead, but you can. Talk to your loved ones about making an emergency plan. Get started today at ready.gov/plan. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
El Paso's News Radio 690 KTSM.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. To be a part of the show, call 915-544-KTSM or follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I'm your host, Andrew J. Polk. A lot of ways to interact with the program, particularly at this point during the show. We got, of course, those phone lines open, and lines are available, 915-544-5876, 544-KTSM. But be sure to act fast, as they do tend to fill up fast whenever we do have the availability throughout the progression of the show. And we'll be getting to, of course, as we do in the later half of each day, certainly getting to as many calls as we can cram in for the second hour. So again, 915-544-5876, 544-KTSM. But of course, comments are available throughout the program as some interesting points being made. And okay, we don't require, enforce, or even try to pretend that people are going to agree, but I will admit I often find myself very interested when people do agree, even if there's, well, let's call it maybe not the same reasons here, like John Adams saying, in part, I agree with, Raful was saying there on this, but starts off by saying, Abbott's starting to act like a radical leftist. I agree with Raful on this. This is big government, and Abbott should be fighting against that. This, along with curfew ban, makes no sense and takes away local control. So, technically agreement, even if coming at it from very different directions, but that's, I guess, one of the parts that I find most interesting about an exercise like what we're doing here about different perspectives, and again, not existing to create, enforce, or maybe promote consensus, but even if that's fleeting at best, still interesting. And you certainly don't have to agree. And in fact, if you don't agree, great, fantastic. That's what we exist to do here, is to talk about the thing. So again, that number to call in if that's what you want to do, 915-544-5876. So we do have more calls on the line here as well. We do have Marco in Central on the line with us here right now. Marco, thanks for joining us.
How's it going, Andrew?
Doing all right there. What's on your mind?
Well, I hate to be the one to disagree with you all, but here's my now I'll explain why.
Okay.
San Antonio, Houston, El Paso. What did all three of those cities do during Obama administration, and were a thorn in the side of our last governor, which was what was his name?
Perry, Governor Goodhair.
Yes, him, and then Rick Perry, right? That's his name.
Indeed.
And then Governor Abbott. Well, the thing that they did was they became sanctuary cities. And so, in other words, in order for Abbott to get control of these cities, because you had Democrats that were doing things that they shouldn't have been doing, instead of working with the state, well, Abbott just decided to take away the personal control from local ordinances. And then this way he could just get rid of the sanctuary status. I mean, so if your local officials are going to engage in things that are in contrary to the state, and then the state says, nah, you know what, you guys are just irresponsible. And it is red versus blue. So at that point, since obviously this is a red state, that was like, well, okay, you want to play that game? Cool. We'll just take away your ability to pull ordinances. And see, that's the bad thing right there, because I kind of agree with it. Well, we should be able to do our own ordinances, but we should be a responsible government. We shouldn't be trying to do like here, the Prop K. In effect, it is kind of an ordinance, right? because they wanted to create a whole new bureaucracy for it.
Oh,
Thank God it
absolutely.
went down. But I guarantee you, if it would have passed, they would have gone straight to court. They would have challenged it because it would have been an affront to the law that stands against creating new ordinances in the city. And so that's the bad part of it. Now, do I agree all the way around? No. Again, I wish we had a better government locally that would be in communication with our state government and at least try to negotiate something better, because that's ultimately what happens there. You know, I don't want to say that word, but you mess around, you're going to find out. But that's not the reason I called today. The reason I'm calling is
Appreciate the
because
phrasing.
you mentioned entertainment districts.
Sure.
And so I kind of want to focus on one of my platforms, is reinventing the downtown area. And so one of the things that I wanted to, in fact, I'm going to try to make a point to go out to Vegas, and we're really going to survey the Fairmont area and see how they did it. Because from my understanding, the Fairmont Street isn't even as wide as El Paso Street. It's a little bit more narrow, and it's a little bit more short. So what we could do is, as traffic comes out from the bridge, the Santa Fe Bridge, right? Instead of diverting it straight up into El Paso Street, we'll turn it towards Oregon. Oregon would become the main vein coming out of there. Santa Fe would also be the other vein.
Sure.
The street where the trolley is could stay. Father Rom would probably be, I would reconsider maybe shutting that off and making it where some of the diversion of the new cover for El Paso Street would be right there, because you could also do concerts. You could have a park right there, a little offset place for those areas, and create a whole new entertainment district in the downtown area leading up to the plaza. There used to be a theater right there. In fact, I'm not sure what it used to be. I think it was called the ArcLight Theater at one point. I could be wrong though.
Okay.
But you could retransform that, ask AMC, maybe ask Alamo Theaters to see if they would pick it up and redo the theater downtown. Of course, it would be naturally it would be a one theater, so they would just show a movie, or they would have a series of movies they could do there. But the Plaza's also doing movies, so you can really transform the downtown area. But my vision for it is doing the cover like they do in Fairmont, getting brand new bars, entertainment district down there, having some of those old buildings renovated and maybe making them into better hotels. The other part of that is I was driving around the Wells Fargo building, and honestly, that would be a perfect city hall, because there's the main building, right, that goes up. It's a pretty big building, but then they have a side building that used to be the actual branch part of the Wells Fargo.
Oh, sure.
You could make that. You could do that. Totally break down the windows that are there, make it all open, and do a brand new city council area for people that are walking by, that they can actually stop and see what's happening. Put more chairs and everything in there, because I expect in the next couple of years, especially if I'm lucky enough, again, Marco for mayor, if I'm lucky enough and we're able to pull off the reinventing of the downtown area, requalifying into an old town, make the new downtown area. It's very seldom spoken, but El Paso has about 800,000 people. But in the day, we surged to about 1.2, maybe 1.1, because people come from Juarez. Once we start building the new downtown area, I suspect we will reach about 2 million people in the next 10 years if we plan things out correctly. So having the money come in for all that, tech stop, doing the work on the freeways and stuff is perfect timing, because we can incorporate all that urban planning into the ideas of how to make El Paso a better functioning city for its citizens.
We'll say one question came up here, and I'm wondering the same thing, actually. You're talking about Fairmont or Fremont Street in Vegas?
Is it Fairmont? Is it Fairmont or Fremont?
I think it's Fremont, the one that has like the cover on it and like the screen, that kind of thing. Okay.
It is absolutely beautiful. I would love to see that kind of covering all over El Paso Street, going straight down. And if it's functional there, we could invite brand new businesses to come into those areas. Stanton Street is a dead street right now, unfortunately. But we could actually have some of the vendors that are already on El Paso Street. If they don't want to be in that area, they can siphon themselves to the Stanton area, and finally we can start getting both those streets with people again. Because again, all the business siphoned itself into the El Paso area because that's where the most people are functionally going up and down because of the bridge of Santa Fe. So my idea is to bring new business to the downtown area, start to spread the business around, effectively make Mesa and Oregon the main organs that go into the downtown area and really transform the area. Now, we would have to find a way to keep it as traditional as possible because I don't want to gentrify the area either. And so it has to be a balance between keeping the downtown area as traditional as possible, but also looking to the future.
It's an interesting idea. I mean, there is the what's the phrase for it? Paseo de los Luces or Las Luces, and that they've been putting there are lights like strung along, but like string lights as opposed to a screen like you're talking about along El Paso Street, and particularly with the revamping that's been happening with the the Paso del Norte Hotel and some of those things. So and of course now the parking garage. That'll be about the only I think wrench in that plan is the people who have that parking garage would like it to still be able to be parking that Mills Plaza parking that goes across San Antonio Avenue. So there are some it's an interesting idea at the very least, but we'll see what comes along with it here. And I do know that the idea of shutting down streets has been an urban or like a urban renewal concept that's been floated in a lot of places. Haven't really seen it implemented in any consistent way in El Paso, though I will say what strikes me when you mentioned the idea of having a particularly performing spaces, I want to say it was during the recent the Plaza Classic Film Festival that they shut down a couple of areas around. I think it was like Main Street and North Oregon Street around San Jacinto Plaza for part of that, and during some of the other events going on during that specific that specific couple of weeks.
Yeah, that's right. And so we have to rethink. What I would love to see, and maybe we can once I get in and become mayor for Marco. By the way, everybody, I would. What I would love to see right there, the area where we had the big tower that was torn down, the Azarco Tower. Imagine remaking the tower, but surrounding it with a soccer stadium, or some kind of venue, because I understand getting rid of it was in a way a good thing, because honestly there was a lot of old technology that was used for the construction of that Zarco Tower. And so when you tore it down, there was a plume of asbestos and all sorts of bad air that went around. And so we could rebuild that as an iconic mark for El Paso, because in a way, I don't want to do what the Egyptians did, is like tear down their city and forget their heritage. El Paso used to, at one point in the 30s and 40s, we used to get big bands to come to El Paso: Benny Goodman, Glenn Miller, Count Basie, Frank Sinatra. If you go over to Juarez, the Kentucky Bar, you had famous people going, the Rat Pack going down there. So we need to be synced like that, and also incorporate those ideas into Juarez. So I would love, as I come into office, to start to talk to the mayor of Juarez. How can we secure both the Juarez end and the El Paso end? And maybe it doesn't have to just stop at the bridge. It could continue on into Juarez, because I think that street is the 16 de Septiembre, right? Is that, if I'm not mistaken, you could reinvent that street and recapture what you said. I'm going to admit it, guys. I used to go to Juarez when I was young, okay? And it was a different time back then, okay? And
fair enough.
That street used to be full of bars, and it was so fun. And so I would love to see Juarez recapture that. But I think it has to be a bi-national commitment between us here in El Paso, fulfilling that end of the El Paso end, and then going into their end, and really start to change the dynamic of our region. to make it more inviting for people to come in and really make it an economic powerhouse the way we see El Paso needs to change.
Interesting ideas here. Well, I do appreciate the point in the call. You have a good one there.
Appreciate it. And love you all. Marco for mayor. Thank you, guys.
All right. And with that, we'll go ahead and take that next break right now. I will say this real quick, and actually looking it up here, I have not spent much time in my life in Juarez at all. Like, my generation was, as we were coming up, and a lot of people would start spending their time in Juarez. And that one actually is Avenida Benito Juarez is the one that is the complementary or leads into the Santa Fe Bridge anyway. But I will say this, there was not a whole lot of time spent over there. And I do sometimes feel like with that kind of connection kind of cut off from a significant part of our community, among other things. But let's go and take that next break right now. Coming out of this break, more on the phone lines here. So if you want to get on the line and add your 2 cents, of course, the number to do so is 915-544-5876, 915-544-KTSM. Back after this break with more Talk El Paso here on News Radio 690 KTSM. Stay tuned.
El Paso's News Radio 690 KTSM.
I'm Vanya Castillo with your CBS 4 headlines. District Attorney Bill Hicks talked to CBS 4 about the backlog in DWI and drug testing, which is conducted in the Texas Department of Public Safety labs. Hicks says the lag in testing at state crime labs is backing up the cases in court. However, he says the state lawmakers have secured funding to expand the Texas DPS labs in El Paso, so testing for drugs and alcohol can also be done here locally. He says his office is doing everything they can to flag cases that don't require substance testing to help reduce the backlog. And as of this morning, we still do not have an update on the condition of the motorcyclist who was taken to the hospital with serious injuries yesterday after a crash in South Central El Paso. Now, the crash happened near the intersection of Glenwood and El Paso Street. Police haven't provided any information about this crash at the time, but we will, of course, make sure to keep you updated both on air and online. For more local headlines, you can check out our website at cbs4local.com.
News Radio 690. Traffic all day.
I-10 westbound at Reynolds, heavy traffic as several lanes merge onto the I-10 west. Looks like people are trying to cross over the Gore area to get onto the on-ramp. Heavy congestion there. Expect delays. I-10 eastbound Trans Mountain over to the Patriots, 7-minute delays. 10-minute delays southbound on Mesa from Desert Boulevard to downtown. And an earlier crash, Edgemere eastbound at Yellow Rose. Kerry Edwards, El Paso traffic.
From the KFOX 14 Severe Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Brad Montgomery. Temperatures are going to be on the rise as we go through our Thursday. We'll see temperatures in the 60s and 70s tomorrow morning. And then for the afternoon, high around 102 degrees, 10% chance of a very isolated storm for your Thursday. As we look to your Friday, partly cloudy skies, hot once again, high 102. If we're lucky, numbers could come down some with highs in the upper 90s for the weekend. From the KFOX 14 Severe Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Brad Montgomery.
This report is sponsored by ComparionInsurance.com.
Hi, we're Comparion Insurance Agency. Never heard of us? We know. But to help it stick that our local agents are insurance experts, we're going to say local agent 3 times in the next 5 seconds. Local agent, local agent, local agent.
Find us at ComparionInsurance.com.
Hey, El Paso, Ivan Ochoa, General Manager of Sunland Park Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram Fiat. Trade up to a new or certified pre-owned vehicle for thousands less. Right now, our prices are the best in town.
Get huge savings on hundreds of new and certified pre-owned vehicles and more for your trade. For a limited time, everyone gets employee pricing on 2023 Jeep Gladiator trucks and super low 1.9% APR for 72 months. Take $6,000 off MSRP on 2023 Ram 1500 trucks or 2.9% APR for 72 months. Take $2,500 off MSRP on 2023 Dodge Charger and Challenger. Get $2,500 off MSRP on 2023 Chrysler 300. Worried about your credit or worried that you're upside down on your trade? Our aggressive lenders will push to approve your credit, even if your credit is less than perfect or if you owe more than your trade is worth. Get huge savings and more for your trade during the Make This the Summer Sales event at Sunland Park Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Fiat, at I-10 at Sunland Park Drive or online at sunlandparkdodge.com. Includes factory rebate and dealer discount plus DTNL. 1.9% APR is $1,471 and 2.9% is $1,515 per thousand finance. Also like vehicles with approved credit. Offers not combined.
Hi, we're Comparion Insurance Agency. Never heard of us? We know. But to help it stick that our local agents are insurance experts, we're going to say local agent 3 times in the next 5 seconds. Local agent, local agent, local agent.
Find us at ComparionInsurance.com.
This report is sponsored by ComparionInsurance.com.
The most current and comprehensive. Just minutes away at the top and bottom of the hour. And always online at KTSMradio.com.
Hey, hon, what you doing with your phone?
Do flowers have best friends?
I don't know. Hey, look.
Whoa.
Some answers can only be found in nature. Discover the unsearchable. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a trail near you. Brought to you by the United States Forest Service and the Ad Council.
News Radio 690 KTSM.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. To be a part of the show, call 915-544-KTSM or follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I'm your host, Andrew J. Polk. Thank you for tuning in, however you may be doing so. A lot of ways to interact with the show, of course, getting us on air, online, live, streaming through the free and reliable iHeartRadio app, or joining us over on the various social media pages, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch.tv, either under Talk El Paso or Andrew J. Polk. And, of course, those phone lines, and do have lines open, 915-544-5876-544-KTSM. We do have some questions coming on. I know the previous caller has put himself as running, and I do believe has filed to run for mayor, but let's just say when it comes to availability for things like that, it's like the fairness doctrine doesn't exist anymore. I think that way it went away under like Nixon or Reagan, but there is equal availability. And, well, that's the thing we do with our phone line, is that it's available to anyone. Again, whoever gets through ends up being an act more on tenacity than just about anything else here, but it is available to anyone. So anyone else wanting to run for mayor could call and make their 2 cents and declare themselves that way. When we start getting into the candidate interviews, that'll be a different thing, because we'll do that once ballots are set and we have qualified candidates on there. So that'll be what we handle it that way. And then, of course, there are some very stringent things when it comes to like political advertising that we have to do as a station to meet certain, well, these very specific requirements that do exist. So there are specific things in mind, but, as it turns into a utilization, someone calling in, yeah, it's available for the whole community. So anyone else could also do that if they wanted to, which is why we put out the phone number, 915-544-5876-544-KTSM. At least one other comment I want to get on there is RJ, when it comes to the whole Juarez and my generation things. I missed out on a lot of drunken sunrises. Can confirm that I did not have any of those happening from me in Juarez, and that is all I will say on that matter. Though on Hillroyd also repping the Kentucky club, rocking on there. So, I mean, we're always interested in, discussing different ideas wherever they come from here. But, I mean, we will as we get closer to it. Though, I did want to mention there was some interesting things going on with sheriff's races, because, again, we did have some big announcements happening earlier in the year, and now we have some of the candidates beginning to percolate. And one interesting one here that we didn't mention exactly already from over in El Paso matters, actually. Well, just the article title here, El Paso Democratic Sheriff Candidate wore anti-Biden t-shirts. And this will be a familiar phrase to any longtime listener on this show. Literally says on the back of it, "Let's go, Brandon." So that was a thing. And we'll see how that works out. Specifically, Bobby Flores, who is in the Democratic nomination running already. Though I want to say, I'll have to step outside, see if the event's still going on. Probably mention a bit more tomorrow. It looked like one sheriff's campaign was setting up to have some kind of event or something at down the street at one of the bars from us. So we'll see that race heating up. It does seem like, as again, of course, the primaries that'll be determining who will then be on the ballot will come before that. Haven't seen the exact filings yet, but that's one of the things going on. But in any case, let's get to at least one more call before we get to the end of the program here. We do have Frankie and Messia on the line with us here right now. Frankie, thanks for joining us.
All right. Here in downtown Messia, nothing's happening. Everything is calm, cool, and copacetic, just like a meandering, cool, calm brook. Now, the reason I'm saying that, because nothing's happening here, I got to be able to chime in what's happening in the great downtown El Paso. Now, let me say this. I know Monday through Thursday, you love local issues. Okay? It's a little bit of an extension on the local, because I want to go all the way off to Amarillo, right? Up there in the Panhandle, about 400 miles away. Now, all 4 days or so ago, or so there about, give or take, right? You got one of your nut job conservative kook representatives by the name of Ronnie Jackson, who got his face pushed into the mud by the local gendarme, right? And now what he wants to do is sue the local gendarme because he feels that they abused him. Hey, Ronnie, you're a Republican that supports law enforcement. Now you want to sue them? Now, what do you think of that, Andrew?
Where you're talking about there, and yeah, referring to the incident that was, I believe the video has been fully released. I haven't had cause to look at it, and I will say that we often take our local focus and extend it into the states of Texas and New Mexico, because it's, to my satisfaction anyway, there's not quite enough coverage in our local area, particularly of how those issues and what's going on within the larger parts of the state, particularly the legislatures affect us here. So I take it in due course and in good mind, even if we're talking about, I believe he's a federal representative, so not for the Texas legislature, but yeah, that video has been percolating. I've heard clips from it, among other things. And again, not been one of my particular focuses, but yeah, his incident with, I'll need to double check if it was police or sheriffs in that area, was an interesting one. I'm not going to call it totally a do you know who I am type of moment, but I could see it easily being taken as son.
What? I just think it's hilarious. He gets out there and rants and raves about how everything should be 100%. God bless America, support your police, and he gets his face pushed into the mud, and he's all now totally opposite of everything. Now, having said that, I just heard Marco going on about this and that. God bless you, Marco. You're running for mayor. That's for every one of us. But here's what I heard Marco say. He wants to improve the economic conditions along South Oregon Street, which just so happens to be where his restaurant is. What does that mean, Marco? Are you trying to pad the account here? If you become mayor and you get a lot of money, you're going to spend all the money just to go on South Oregon so that your restaurant becomes whatever, right? Hello?
I mean, no, I get you here. I mean, I think his primary focus was on El Paso Street, though Oregon was certainly mentioned. I'll absolutely agree with you on that point here, though I would say my takeaway was more of a focus on downtown in general, because, yeah, anything about like, and we got to do it right around my address here, like I was talking about right here on Mesa. We just need all of this stuff going on around this land I just bought. I mean, yeah, okay, so I understand your suspicion at the very least on that point here, though again I think the primary part, like the Fremont Streets type of allusions he was making, were being talked about primarily from the bridge, the the Santa Fe and South El Paso bridge along that way. So I mean, whether or not you take that as realistic in its own way is certainly up for every individual to decide and to think about. What I will say is that I still think El Paso as a whole and as a region is kind of lucked into both having enough of the buildings that have existed in downtown. I mean, we've seen new buildings come up. Certainly I forget the name of it. Was it 601 North Oregon Street? So right there near I-10. I forget the name of the tower that has come up there, but I believe is now the tallest building in El Paso, if I'm not entirely mistaken. In any case, we've seen stuff like that, the revamping of some of the hotels, the complete redoing of course, the Hotel Paso del Norte and stuff like that. So I think that we could be doing better and hopefully more improved, though, again, I do get your implications and would hope that anything being done public policy-wise would be completely free of any implications about private benefit.
Well, you would hope so. And again, Marco sounds like a nice fellow. I mean, we could talk a long time about, his whole. Oh, by the way, Marco, when you say your platform on a particular issue, it's not your platform. It's the plank in your platform. You need to get the lingo right if you're running for mayor. Get the lingo right. Now, last thing.
Sure.
Ben, did you ever read what I said that the great Rex Tillerson said about your boy Donnie Dotard Doofus with your stupid constant refrain about let's go Brandon? Let me know, Ben. Chime in. That's my only final point here.
Yeah, fair enough. Taken in due course. And so appreciate the point in the call. You have a good one there.
All right, Andrew, take care.
And with that, we'll go ahead and take that next break right now. So coming out of this break, we'll, of course, get more ready for Friday as it keeps creeping in its own ways. But tell you also what we got coming up for you, what we're working on for you for the show and some of our other programming, as much as we did do some previews today. So stay tuned. More Talk El Paso after this break here on News Radio 690 KTSM. Don't go anywhere.
traffic all day. News Radio 690.
I-10 westbound at Reynolds, heavy traffic as several lanes merge onto the I-10 west. It looks like people are trying to cross over the Gore area to get onto the on-ramp. Heavy congestion there. Expect delays. I-10 eastbound Trans Mountain over to the Patriots, 7-minute delays. 10-minute delays southbound on Mesa from Desert Boulevard to downtown. And an earlier crash, Edgemere eastbound at Yellow Rose. Kerry Edwards, El Paso traffic.
This report is sponsored by ComparionInsurance.com.
Hi, we're Comparion Insurance Agency. Never heard of us? We know. But to help it stick that our local agents are insurance experts, we're going to say local agent 3 times in the next 5 seconds. Local agent, local agent, local agent.
Find us at ComparionInsurance.com.
Hammer and Nails, El Paso's newest men's grooming destination, with your comfort and privacy in mind, and where your favorite brew, spirit, or mixed drink will be waiting for you, along with every cut, shave, manicure, or pedicure visit. Open daily at the fountains at Farrah, Hammer and Nails offers world-class luxury experiences without the pretentious price tag. Visit Hammer and Nails Grooming Shop for Guys online at hammerandnailsgrooming.com to book your next experience. That's hammerandnailsgrooming.com.
Signs everywhere, signs for your business and signs for your ride. Sign Bros is the place where we make your signs.
Sign Bros is your source for vehicle wraps, window graphics, LED outdoor signs, and much more. 20 years in business locally. Call 855-8000, visit 1387 George Dieter, Suite C104, or go to signbrosep.com, where you don't pay for a sign pays for itself. Sign Bros.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. Just go to this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
My mom and dad are the best. Ever since they called the Early Childhood Program, I'm doing so much better, and mom and dad don't worry or stress as much as they used to. They seem a bazillion times happier, and all services are free.
Parenting isn't easy, so we signed up for the free early childhood program at the El Paso Center for Children. They taught us how to deal with COVID-19 stress and be better parents. Lots of other free services are available. Call 915-500-4105. That's 500-4105.
News Radio 690 KTSM El Paso.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. To be a part of the show, follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for having joined us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I've been your host, Andrew J. Polk. We've covered a lot of ground here today, including some calls that came off air about particularly performance venues here in town. I actually was working on some stories. I don't think it ever actually ended up making air for one reason or another, but about performance venues here in town. I mean, sure, we got some major ones. Like, there's actually, but in my opinion, a lot of concerts and events coming up, more than I feel like I can really remember, like particularly since 2020, including a major one in the Sun Bowl. But part of the issue that we do kind of have, and a caller was interested in, is that you got things like the Coliseum and the Don Haskins Center and the Sun Bowl, but those are some notable gaps in between. There have been some concerts at and of course performance based at McKelligan Canyon, but that is often also, of course, subject to, weather. I mean, think okay, huge tours, but huge tours have other contingencies, and particularly when you're talking about the smaller, mid-size, or even not quite huge type ones, having that kind of a space, I think that's one of the arguments that was behind the idea of the downtown arena, which one of the things I think going on this week has been, not too much reported on, but I'm aware of, is a potential final end to that situation. And again, the opening up then of, well, some of those streets that were going through the area we've come, of course, to be referred to in the process of this as Duranguito. But that's subjects for more at other times. And again, with all the stuff going on with the sheriff stuff, I don't want to talk out of turn here because I saw the signs going up and it definitely said sheriff on it, but I'll have to see which one it was. I know going down the street from us here, but it seems like the sheriff's election is really gearing up. A bunch of y'all have been reaching out to me about certain things and certain other issues and, well, coverage going on, certainly. So, yeah, with the announcing the announced retirement of a longtime El Paso Sheriff Richard Wiles back in March, yeah, this is coming. And so it looks like we're already gearing up then for the primary season, particularly. What I will be curious to see is if the primary, this will be one of those instances when the primary is the election. But those are some of the future things we'll be looking at. We also got a lot more coming up for you and that we're working on in coming weeks about like air quality in our region also, and implications coming from it, possibly more about rental or issues, particularly housing in our region. And then also a lot more about the politics and the current events and, well, just the things going on and affecting us here in the Borderland as we do every Monday through Friday, 4 to 6 p.m. right here on News Radio 690 KTSM, and at least one other one we're keeping our eye on. John Browson actually posting about this at the top of the show about Southern California going to be hit with a once-in-a-50-year hurricane, and then expecting El Paso will get a lot of rain a few days later. Yeah, there's some implications and maps have been saying that that part of California might be getting like a couple years worth of rain within a day or two. So yeah, we got more that we'll be talking about and going on in our region. But I want to thank everyone that did tune in, call and comment, participate in the show, as we will do it again every Monday through Friday, 4 to 6 p.m. And of course, with Free for All Friday coming up for y'all tomorrow. So until then, until next time, I want you all to stay safe out there, look twice for motorcycles when out on the road, and have a great evening, y'all. We'll see you tomorrow. Free for All Friday on deck. It'll be a good one, y'all. See you then.
Traffic all day. News Radio 690.
On Gateway North of McCombs, 2 vehicles have stopped in the right lane. Stay to the left to get by that. Gateway East to Trowbridge, it's a semi that stopped in the right lane. Stay to the left there. I-10 eastbound, 7-minute delays. Trans Mountain out to the Patriot. And southbound Mesa from Desert Boulevard to downtown, that's a 7-minute delay. Carrie Edwards, El Paso traffic.
The El Paso Community Foundation supports the causes you feel passionate about here in the Borderland, whether it's education, social services, arts and culture, the environment, health, or economic development. The El Paso Community Foundation has been promoting philanthropy and progress in our hometown region for more than 45 years. Make your mark with us. Start a fund today for good, for El Paso, forever. Learn more at epcf.org. That's epcf.org.
Hi, I'm Burt Ward, Robin from TV's Batman, inviting you to feed your dog natural, non-GMO, Gentle Giants dog and puppy food. Dogs eating Gentle Giants and following our special feeding and care program are living as long as 27 healthy, active years with a wonderful quality of life. Holy wow, 27 years! Think of all the extra years you could enjoy with your dog at Target, H-E-B, and stores near you. Try Gentle Giants cat and kitten food, too.
Portions of the following program were pre-recorded.
Our iHeartRadio Music Festival is coming back to T-Mobile.